What's going on YouTube? This is IppSec, and this video is going to be setting up the latest version of Elastic, which is 8 on an Ubuntu box. Now, I know you can just use like detection labs, or there's even cloud appliances to spin up Elastic, but I really don't like those just turnkey solutions because you don't understand how everything works, and a lot of them have just insecure defaults. So when you just do every step manually, you understand how it works, and you go, oh, maybe we should enable SSL, or and not expose Elastic to everything and set up Logstash or things like that. So definitely like setting things up from the ground up. And Elastic, we're going to do a few components. Elastic, if you don't know, is the database. Kibana is going to be the web interface to the database. And then we're going to do 3 different integrations. Fleet management, this is going to be able to manage all the agents we install on our Windows boxes. And that configures things like having the Windows boxes send logs to the Elastic database. And the fleet management just automates that process. So if you make a change, it automatically pushes the configuration to all your agents, so you don't have to keep pushing updates one at a time. So it's super nice. The second thing is going to be the endpoint security. This is just going to have a bunch of just detections like ransomware. Just when bad things happen, it just goes to a certain spot in Elastic for you to look at. So it's really handy. And then the last piece we're going to do is just collect Windows logging. So like PowerShell commands, sysmon things, those all go in and we can search around. We're not going to spend a lot of time playing with IOCs and stuff. It's pretty much going to be a video setting it up. So let's just jump in. So the first step is to get into whatever box we want to install it on. I have just a vanilla install of a minimized edition of Ubuntu 22. Like it doesn't even have the ping command, things like that. So the first step is to install Elastic. So I'm going to Google install Elastic Stack Ubuntu. And surprisingly enough, I like the DigitalOcean guide more than the Elastic guide because it's like one page. I don't have to like jump around. The downside is they are installing Elastic 7, and I want to install 8 because I just want the latest and greatest. So it's easy enough to modify. The first step is adding the GPG key to our box. So we just run this one command and we don't have to modify it or anything. This next command we're going to have to modify because it's running the 7.x and we just want to change that to an 8. So let's just change this to 8.x and then this other one 8.x as well. And now when we do a sudo apt update, we should see us talking to Elastic and it shouldn't error out. So that looks good. We just want now to do a Elastic install. And during the install, it's actually going to give us a piece of information that is critical, and that is the first user. If we didn't get it, it will be in the user share Elastic bin directory. There's like an Elastic -password -reset. So you could always reset the password if you lost it and have root access to the host. So I wonder if I can show you while that installs. So sh elastic 01, user share ElasticSearch, bin, and we have a few of these. There should be a reset right here. So you would just run this and specify the Elastic user. So I think this one, the ElasticSearch users, you could actually create a new user, but I digress. So let's go look up, and it's going to give us a few key pieces of information. So the first one is going to be the password that it created. So let's just put this in notes.elastic.txt, paste this, and then we can cat it. So the built-in user's password is this. When we install Kibana, we're going to need to create this enrollment token. And here it's telling us we can reset the password if we wanted to with this. But let's just move on with the instructions. So right here, they're telling us to change the network.host to be localhost. So if I did a sudo v etc elastic, what's the YAML file? ElasticSearch.yaml. It's telling us to change this to be localhost. And that would mean ElasticSearch binds on 127.0.0.1 port 9200. The default is right there. Now that is good information because you never want to allow Elasticsearch to be accessible to unauthorized users. However, we're going to install Fleet and stuff on separate boxes, so we have to have Elasticsearch listening on a routable interface, so I'm going to ignore that change. And the reason why I like installing Fleet and things on separate boxes is Fleet is a service in Elastic that keeps your agents up to date, and that's what you install on all your Windows boxes to configure their log forwarding back to you. So you want to be able to manage those from Elastic because you don't want to have to log into every box to do like minor changes. So we don't want all those boxes to have a connection all the way back to Elasticsearch box, because that means if they get compromised, then our whole Elastic database is at threat, and workstations move around. If they have laptops, they may go into a Starbucks or they may get lost, right? So we want to install Fleet on a box isolated, so if that gets compromised, all that the workstation can talk to is Fleet. There's no way it can talk to the database, and there's less information it can get. So Elasticsearch is installed, I believe. We have localhost, and the next steps it has us do is enable and start Elasticsearch. So we do sudo systemctl start Elasticsearch. It may take like 30 to 45 seconds to start up. It is, I believe, a Java application, so they always take a while to start. I'm just going to open up a second session so we can also, while that goes, do a sudo systemctl enable Elasticsearch, and this is just going to make it start up on boot. And then once this is there, it's going to have us do a curl. And this is going to fail because the default for Elasticsearch 8 at least is SSL. So we do this curl and we just see we get empty reply from server. We can do this -v and we see nothing. However, let me just go to root so we can look at this log. var log Elasticsearch elasticsearch.log. We can see it's complaining that someone connected to port 9200 via HTTP, not HTTPS. So let's go back to our curl. Curl-x get HTTP localhost 9200. So empty reply. Let's add a -k to ignore certificates. Change that to HTTPS. And now it's complaining that we're missing authentication. So let's go back to our notes to copy this password. And then change our curl to be the Elastic user. That's the default first user. Put the password, then an @ And now we can see the health is, let's see, I guess it doesn't say green or up, but because we got this JSON, everything is good. So our Elastic database is up. So now we can go move on to installing Kibana. Kibana is going to be the user interface to Elastic. We could do everything that we can view in Kibana via just curl commands, but that's just like specifying a manual API and it's a pain in the butt. So we want to have a nice, pretty web interface to interact with Elastic and pull data out of it. So that is going to be Kibana. So we just do this install. And after Kibana installs, we're going to have to configure it. So I keep exiting this terminal pane. I probably shouldn't keep doing that because now we want to go into the user share Elasticsearch bin. And the one command it gave us, this Elasticsearch create enrollment token, we're going to need it for Kibana. So let's run this. Permission denied. We'll do, oh, we got a root session right here. We can create the enrollment token. And before we start Kibana, we have to give it this enrollment token. And what this is doing is just configuring the authentication between Kibana and Elasticsearch. So let's do sudo user share Kibana bin, then Kibana-setup. And it should ask us for the enrollment token. Once the JVM starts up, we paste it in, and it's going to configure it and tell us we can run it. Now, I don't want to run it just like bin Kibana. I'm just going to run it from systemctl. So systemctl start Kibana. And then we're going to enable it. And this takes a while to run. It defaults to port 5601. And we can see it's not listening yet. Let's see, watch-n1, give it a few seconds. We'll give it 10 seconds to see if it starts up. If not, I'll do a status on it and see what the holdup is. There we have it running, and it binds to localhost. Now, generally, people recommend putting NGINX in front of Kibana. I think this started from like the days when like Kibana didn't used to have any authentication. Now it does. But also, I don't think it has like built-in SSL and things like that. It's always best to put web services behind a proper web server like Apache or NGINX. So I'm installing NGINX right now with the sudo apt install NGINX. And we're just going to do a proxy pass. I'm not going to bother giving it an SSL certificate. I trust that you can do that. I would highly recommend putting everything behind SSL because SSL all the things. But for the sake of this video, to keep it brief, we won't bother with that. And we just go into the SSL configuration and do proxy pass HTTP 127.0.0.1 port 5601 and end that with a semicolon. So what that is doing is going to say we edited the default. So anything that hits NGINX on port 80 is going to get passed to localhost 5601. That's all we did. So systemctl restart NGINX, and let's enable it as well. So now if I go to 10.250.0.10, which is the IP of Elastic 01, we have an interface. So we can log in with Elastic, and then the password is going to be Elastic's password. So we go back to copy this one, and then we can paste in the password. May take a second to load, and then when it loads, it's going to tell us what, or it's going to ask us what integrations we want to install. So let's add integrations. And the first one I always install is going to be Fleet, because this is what manages all of our agents. So I'm going to add a Fleet server, and we're just going to call this Fleet Server 1. That's fine. I'm going to leave all these defaults. You could change these if you want. You'll see where like agent policy 1 and things are referenced in this video. But let's just save and continue. It does take a little bit of time for this to install. And we do have a second box. So I'm going to now SSH to Fleet 01. And this is a completely different box. This IP address ends in .20 where the other one ended in .10. Now, I need to copy a SSL certificate over to the Fleet box, but I'll do that when it asks. Let's add Elastic Agent to our host. And now it wants us to add a Fleet server. So Fleet server host, I'm just going to do HTTPS Fleet 01 port 8220. And you should use a proper DNS name. We don't have DNS in my lab, so we're not going to do it. Because we don't, every host we're going to have to actually, we can do an IP address. Let's just do 10.250.0.20. That way we won't have to bother editing the host file on a Windows box later. Okay, so we can generate the policy. And then the next step will be installing Fleet on a centralized host. Fleet server policy created. And we want to run these commands. And because we're using self-signed certificates, we want to copy a certificate out of this. So all of Elastic certificates are in user, share, ElasticSearch, and then, oh no, Etsy ElasticSearch. Then certs. So these are where all of Elastic certificates are stored. You should replace these with the certificates of like Let's Encrypt or something like that. I trust you can Google like ElasticSearch Let's Encrypt certificate, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to copy the CA over to this Fleet 01 box. So make dir-p user local Etsy SSL certs Elastic. We have to do that with sudo. And the reason why I'm putting in user local Etsy is because /Etsy apt, my package manager, modifies files there. I don't want it ever removing the certificate. So I'm putting in user local, which is generally how Linux things work. Anyways, the name of the certificate I want is http://ca.cert. So let's download this. So sudo curl 10.250.0.10 port 8000 http://ca-o this, and I'll call it the same thing. Okay. So now we can install the Fleet server. So I'm going to copy this command, paste it in, and then I'm going to specify, oh shoot. Well, maybe it won't go to install. I was trying to add 2 flags to this. So I'm hoping it still lets me. Yep, it does. So what we want to add is Fleet server ESCA for Elasticsearch CA, user local etc SSL certs, Elastic HTTP cert, and then I add the -- insecure because I'm doing self-signed certificates, and this will install. So all we did there, because that probably got confusing, I have a file T on my home drive. All we did was add 2 more lines. So we did Fleet server ESCA is equal to user local etc SSL certs Elastic HTTP ca.cert, I want to say that was, and then insecure. So all we did was add those 2 flags. Elastic Agent has been successfully installed. So now if I scroll down, we see Fleet server has been connected. So if I click continue to enrolling agents, it's going to ask us if we want to create an agent policy. We do. And let's see, default namespace, collect logs. I think we just leave everything default, right? Yeah. So let's create policy. And let's see. This is not the most pretty interface when I'm zoomed in. Policy has been created with this name. That's fine, I guess. So here's what I wanted. The Elastic Agent stuff. So let's see. I'm going to go over to a Windows box. And we want to install this. So I'm going to open up PowerShell. And when I do PowerShell, I'm doing Control-Shift-Enter to go into an administrative session. There we go. And then let's just paste, edit, paste. Paste did not work. Let's copy this again. Copy. Go back to remote desktop, paste. There we go. And then it shouldn't send the very last line. We'll want to look at this. What? Expand archive did not like that command. Let's see. dir expand. It looks like it added a period for some reason. So let's just run that. Destination path, period. Then we can cd into it, and we'll want to run the very bottom command. So cd Elastic Agent. And what was the command? Oh, just install? Oh crap, we're on standalone. We do not want that. Let's see. Because if we're standalone, then it doesn't manage it for us. I'm going to create agent policy 2 for this. Create policy. I'm guessing I clicked something when I shouldn't have because I was talking. There we go. So now, when we go to Windows, it's the same exact commands, except this install now has a URL and an enrollment token. So this is the one we definitely want. I am glad I caught that. So CLS, we'll paste this in. And then I'm also going to add -- insecure because it is self-signed certificates. So now it's saying it's going to be installed. We say, yes, that is fine. And it should say Elastic Agent has been successfully installed. So now when we go back here, We see it is installed, and it's not getting data yet, but it may take a few seconds. So I'm just going to close this out and let us look at this. So if we go to security, let's see, back to integrations. Nope, that's not what I want. There's so many options in Elastic. Let's see. I don't think it's security dashboards. Security manage. I guess we can manage the rules. First, let us add another integration. So one of the main reasons people install Elastic is for the endpoint and cloud security, which just creates a bunch of alerts the actual agent will monitor for security events. So we're going to add this, and then the integration name, let's see, existing policy, we'll do agent policy 2, and the integration name, I'm just going to call this endpoint security. And then save and continue. Actually, before I save, nope, we don't see it yet. So let's just add this. And we can see agent policy 2 has one agent enrolled with that already. So this may take a few minutes. And what it's also going to do, let's see if we can see it in real time. Because we applied it to the policy that's on this computer, it's automatically going to install the Elastic agent here. There we go. We just saw endpoint pop up because it's installing the Elastic endpoint agent. That is what Fleet does. It's like C2 of goodness, right? C2 being like command and control server, but this is installing all the agents we want and keeping them configured so we don't have to go be like, oh, we want to install winlog beats now to get event logs. So we go to every single box and install winlog beats. And then make a small configuration change, then go to every box and do that. No, we don't have to do that because Fleet manages that for us, right? So we have endpoint security in, and we see my host, and it's healthy. So that's looking good. Now with endpoint security, we do have to create rules. So let's go to security, manage, go to rules, and it's going to tell us something bad. It's going to say our encryption key is not created for the API. And that's going to prevent us from downloading all of the rules from Elastic. So let's go and add our API key. So I'm going to go back to my ElasticSearch box. I'm going to go to user share Kibana bin, and then we're going to do Kibana encryption keys. And this is going to generate them. We have to tell it to generate. And we have our encryption keys right here. So I'm going to copy this, etc Kibana, kibana.yaml, go to the bottom and paste those lines in. And then we do a system ctl restart Kibana. And the next time we hit this page, this warning won't be there. And we're going to have something to import rules, I believe. Right now it just says manage rules. If we click that, well, Kibana's down, so won't do anything there. We got to wait for port 5601 to open back up. Right now, it's just saying bad gateway because NGINX is configured to go to it, and 5601 wasn't there, so NGINX just complained. Uh-oh. I'm hoping that's just because Kibana is just now starting. Refresh. Loading Elastic. There we go. So let's log in, and we need the password again. So go back to our notes, copy, paste, log in. And then we'll go back to the security rules page. So click here for the menu, security, manage, rules. And now we have a bunch of new buttons. I'm going to load the Elastic pre-built rules, timelines, whatever. And it's going to give us a bunch of rules. Come on. It's now downloading. It's taking its time, but it is worth it. Come on. load the rules. And here we go. We have a bunch of things. So we got like Elastic Endgame rules, PS exec. If I just click select all, and I'm going to, let's see, I clicked select all, and then click bulk action next to it, and enable. So now every single rule is going to be enabled. Some of them require machine learning, so those won't be enabled, but most things will. And this, so whenever we use PS exec, now alert's going to be popped in a dashboard to say, hey, PS exec was used, right? If we didn't want that, we could just disable it. Some of these rules require integrations to be installed, and we don't have those, so they won't be working. You may want to like search for Windows and then enable rules this way. So you only enable the Windows rules, but I didn't know if I'd hit PS exec doing this. So that's why I did all the rules. So that should be good. Let us now add another integration. So let's do management, integrations, and now we want to add logging. So I'm going to search all my integrations for Windows. We're going to collect logs. 47 rules fail to enable. That is fine. I don't care about that. Let's enable this. Oh, wait. What integration did I click on? Sometimes I shouldn't talk and do things at the same time. Yeah, Windows. So this is by default going to collect things like sysmon logs, PowerShell logs, things like that. Every log that we want on a Windows box, it's going to grab them. So, yep, that's good. The agent policy, we're going to do existing, specify agent policy 2. And then save and continue, save and deploy change. And it's going to take a second, but if we go back to our Elastic thing, it's probably going to install something else. And we should be able to get to all of our logs from this. So I just want to check my Elastic Agent log to see if it's complaining about anything. Go to the latest one here, and we'll just open it with Notepad. Come on, it's definitely thinking. Just want to open you. Try this again. There we go. Open with. It's taking its sweet time again. I guess maybe I only gave this computer one CPU, and while it's installing new rules, it just goes incredibly slow. So let's see. Do we have any errors here? Generally, the first time I install something, I like just looking at the logs to make sure nothing's yelling at me silently. And this looks fine. I don't see anything sticking out. SSL verification disabled. That's fine. We're doing self-signed certificates, not even using host names. So I think we are good. Let's look at what our Elastic Agent YAML looks like. So this is going to be the config for the Elastic Agent. Fleet enable true. And that looks, I guess, good. I was expecting to see something else there. Like, I don't know where the output is configured in this. Look at this YAML file. See how this is. Okay. So this is Fleet, how it's accessing where it talks to. Then I think we're going to have an issue in this one. So let's go to the log of this guy. So the Elastic Endpoint log. Is this it? So let's go to the bottom. Let's see, is it erroring at all? Error, certificate problem. So right here, we do have an SSL error. So I think something is broken in this, which is a little bit of a pain to fix. We could kind of verify that if we go to Discover and then look at this. Let's see. If I create data view, I only have one index pattern. So yeah, right now it doesn't look like we're getting any log data. When we go here and just look at our logs, we should be seeing results. We're not. And what I think happened is if we go to this Elastic Endpoint config, we see up here for Fleet, we told it SSL don't verify. Down here, the output is Elasticsearch. This is a big no-no, I believe. Maybe in a future video, I'll move this over to use Logstash because we don't want an agent talking directly to Elasticsearch. I'm not exactly sure what this API key gets you, but if it lets you query the data in Elasticsearch, that'd be really bad. Because if anyone compromises the host that has this log installed, then they can talk back to Elasticsearch. Additionally, they maybe will get data out of it. And like if you can ever access a company's logging data, chances are you can pwn the whole enterprise. The most common one is someone typing a password in the username field and they could just query, show me all the user failures on this network, find the ones that don't look like usernames, find valid passwords, and pwn it that way, right? So this should be Logstash, which is just a forwarder. So our log would write to Logstash, and then Logstash would write to Elastic, so our host would never be able to ask it for data because Logstash is just a forwarder, right? So be wary right now of how it's configured here. So let us go back into this. And what we want to do is go to, let's see, I think Fleet, then settings, the output, we want to edit this, and oh, we can't, shoot. We can't because this thing is locked. It says this output is managed outside of Fleet, and that is a Kibana setting, I believe. So let's do v etc kibana.yaml, and right here, we want to change, is there a true? Yeah, is default. I'm going to change this to false. And this next one is default monitoring to false. And then we can restart Kibana. We're going to have to log in again, but when we come back to this page, we won't see this lock here, which means we'll be able to edit this default output and add a SSL verification mode to none, I believe. And then once we do that, we'll start seeing data. So I'm going to pause the video for like 30 seconds because it's going to take a second for Elastic to start back up. Or maybe I won't. Maybe it's up right now. Kibana server's not ready. I bet if I refresh it again, it will be, and I don't get the break I wanted. But that's okay. Let's just copy this password. Refresh. Come on, Elastic. Oh, sweet. I didn't even have to log in again. We don't see the lock here on this output, so I can edit this. And let's see. We want to edit the host. So HTTPS 10.250.0.10 is my Elastic. I'm sure we could configure Logstash here if we had that set up, but I do not. So it's SSL.verification mode. Is it modes or mode? SSL verification mode Elastic Kibana. Let's see what that is. I think it's mode. Verification mode. And we want to set it to none. Think like this. Save and apply settings. We'll update 3 agent policies and 2 agents. Yes, we want it to do that. So now, if I go back to this host and we look at Elastic Endpoint, let's see if it's already done it. How fast is this? Hasn't done it yet. Let's see, 8:55. Maybe my time update in the background. Yeah, so now we have verification mode none. And I think if we go now to the logs, we'll start seeing things. So let's go back to Analytics, Discover, and look at all that data we are getting. So now our agents are able to talk to us. If we click Create Data View, we can see all the indexes. So an index is going to be like a table. There's going to be an index for sysmon, and that's the one I'm going to look at. So sysmon operational default. I'm going to put that here, And I'm just going to call this sysmon, and we'll save it. So now I can click here, click sysmon, and see the sysmon logs. So I'm going to refresh the page because it's been a couple hours. I had to leave mid-recording. So we're going to update the data we see here. And we're going to do some light poking around. This video isn't going to be one on exactly how to use Elastic. I'm actually haven't used this version before. I just started today, actually, before recording. So I do want to poke at it a bit more before I go too in depth. But let's say we want to look at some specific sysmon event IDs, right? So if I just Google sysmon event ID, we'll probably pull something up, right? So we can see a list of all of them here. And let's look at, I guess, let's start at event ID 1, process creation, real quick. So in this, if I click search fields, I'm going to type ID, and we're going to look for event ID. Let's see, maybe if I do event ID, here we go. And if I add this, I can see all the sysmon event IDs that it's recorded. And I'm just going to click plus, and we can see them here. So in my filter, I'm going to do event ID is equal to 1. And it added that winlog dot for me. So now we have our table only showing us event ID 1. I'm just going to click on one of these. If I click on this little toggle, it's going to show me everything in this log entry, right? And the main thing I want to look at is the process that gets created. It looks like there's 4 rows on this. And message is going to show me the whole table. So this is going to be everything we want. Let's see. We probably want to get original file name, command line. So let's see. Can I just add it here? Original file name. If I click plus, did that add it? Maybe I click. I think it added it. I just think I can't see it. So I think I got original file name. Let's do a host name. Like this. And current directory, we can add process working directory and see what this looks like, right? So now we can see everything here. We can get rid of event ID 1 because we know what it is. We can move host over to the left because that makes more sense. And we can see it's starting up MS Edge, task, notepad, and the working directory. And if we wanted to like filter everything, we could, let's see, click here, filter out this working directory. And now we see everything that wasn't in that working directory. So we can just play around with all the processes, poking around, looking for badness, right? Let's see. I think DNS is a fun one to look at. So let's see. Let's look at DNS. I'm guessing that's event ID 22. So let's go back here. Event ID 22. And we don't have anything. So I'm going to go back to my Windows host. Let's open up Edge and do some DNS request. So let's go to ipsec.rocks. And we have my website. So you can just do searches for any videos here. If we want to look at more sysmon-y things, we can do this. PowerSeam is a good video for learning sysmon. Advanced Windows logging, this is like the updated version of that. This one goes into Helk, which was a modified old version of Elastic by CyberWarDog. But now I would honestly use Elastic 8 because it has the security agent, the fleet. It's just so much better. And I don't know if Helk has been updated to do the latest. So now that we did that, let's refresh. And we still don't have any event ID 22s. That is concerning. I wonder if it's just not being logged. Let's see. Let's open up our logging, event viewer, And let's go to Windows, no, application, then Microsoft, whatever. This is such a horrible GUI. That's so slow. Come on, just pull up the log. Let's do something suspicious. IEX, new object, net.web client, download string, ipsec.rocks. We'll just do this, right? It's going to error out, but maybe we'll see that. We still see event log is thinking. Demo gods, right? Refresh. Let's see. Let's not do last 15 minutes. 15 days. Hey, we have some DNS request. Right now our table is filtered with like the old thing that we were looking at, so let's clear this. And then we can go and look at a message to see exactly what this one looks like. So I like just clicking here, finding where the message is, and then just viewing this. You could look through every field, but I generally find this easy. So query name, hey, ipsec.rocks. I'm guessing my time is incorrect on my box. So it was like last 15 minutes, and I'm guessing one of the timestamps is wrong. So no matter what the event was, it was going over 15 minutes ago because that box has never been to ipsec.rocks. That was the first time, and there's the PowerShell that we were doing it with. So let's look at user image. So let's add user ID or name. Let's do username. It's probably winlog user name also. Let's see. We'll do query. Maybe it's question name. Maybe that's how they filtered it. And then, what is it? Process name. So now if we look at this, we can see administrator, queried, ipsec.rocks, this one from Edge, this one from PowerShell. So this definitely seems suspicious, right? And we're just looking at all the DNS requests. So I find this pretty cool. We got WPAD here, so it's looking for the proxy. This is us installing the agent, us going out to artifacts.security.elastic. So a lot of good information here. And if you don't want to go hunting, because we added all those events before, if we go to the security, then we can go to alerts, and we can see what type of alerts there are. I enabled RDP. We have some startup things. This is probably installing the agent, so we could expand this and see exactly what this is. Edge did something on the current version run. I don't know what that is. You find this stuff a lot. Like you find a lot of weird things that just happen. Edge did something else to that current version run that got triggered as an alert. But like you'll see like Notepad talk to LSASS, and you may think that's weird, but it may just be querying like for printers and things like that. So this is RDP enabled via the registry. So we can like acknowledge these, I believe. Where is acknowledge? Manage rules. It's one of these. Analyze event. More actions. Investigate. I've never really used this piece of it. This piece is new. Shoot. Let's go back there. One of the other cool things, if you like pretty pictures, is if we click Analyze this event, it draws a graph for us. So we can see like all the MS Edge processes, how long they were in things. This one, I don't know exactly what it's doing. Let's do something on this box real quick. So we're here. Let's go to Defender. Let's disable it and see if this creates an event. So let's do virus and threat, manage settings, disable real-time protection. Everything else is pretty much disabled. So let's see if Elastic now complains that real-time detection is disabled. So let's go back to security, alerts. Oh, come on. Maybe if I click here. My VM is going slow. It doesn't want to click alerts. Security, alerts. Go here. Okay, we're back at that page. Awesome. And it's had enough time where it definitely should pick up on us disabling AV. Let's see, today, 2 minutes ago, this week. I'm guessing it has not picked it up yet. That's weird. Updated 8 seconds ago. If we click the 3 dots, we can mark as acknowledged. And that hides it. Refresh this. I'm only assuming it will pick up when we disable real-time detection, but maybe it does not. Let's see, findings we don't have. If we look at dashboards, we haven't created any dashboards yet. That'll probably be for a future video, but I think I am running near the end of this video. There's nothing else I really want to show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Set up Elastic on your own, and there will be future videos. If you subscribe to my channel as a monetary subscription, I'm going to create a post, and you can tell me which type of video you want to see next. If we want to go like run Havok or Havoc, I forget how to pronounce that, and like build threat detections for it, see what's detected, or we can go secure Elastic a bit more with WinLog beats. It's really up to you guys what you want me to show off. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next time.